Alright guys, what's up? I know we've been all talking about the Grom lately, what's going on with it. I told you something was up with it, and it was broken. Me and Evan could not really figure out what was going on. So what I was doing was trying to sell this for a decent amount of money, but nothing too crazy. You all know the bike has sentimental value to me and the channel. So what I did is post it online and pretty much just stay pretty firm from the beginning on the Grom, but then we had a couple guys come along that had a pretty crazy project in mind for it. So we met them from Facebook Marketplace. They were looking for a Grom, like I said, for another project. And this is the Grom now, guys. They got it all welded and fixed up. You guys will see the footage in a minute. But I'm going to have them talk about over kind of what happened with it. And they're going to show you another project they got going on. So we got the guys from Freedom and Company right here. Eric on the right, Paul on the left. What was up with the Grom? What was going on, bro?
So yeah, we were kind of looking for another Grom. We're currently walking on the FZ07 Grom over here, which we'll talk about later. But we're kind of looking for another Grom for maybe a future project. Currently just Grom just so we can cruise around town and just have a Grom that's working instead of one that's all torn to pieces. And so that's kind of where we met you and kind of how this all happened.
Eric, I know you showed us the picture of it, bro. It was pretty destroyed. Was it a pain? What was the process?
When we bought this thing, we knew going in it was going to be a little rough. You guys have seen some of the footage of Mason riding this thing, so you guys know what shape it was in. And yeah, this frame was cracked pretty bad in the center, and it was really going to take a certain person to be able to fix that or swap the entire frame itself. We took it all apart. We ended up having to cut some engine mounts actually to be able to repair it as much as we could. Slapped it all back together, and now it's all good to
looks good to go.
Good to ride.
We rode it the other day, actually did some wheelies on it. It's solid, guys. So they actually have something even crazier in mind that's going to be happening, but that's going to be in the future. We'll keep you guys all updated on that. But we have one more thing really quick before we move on. It's actually a really crazy project, guys. You know, on my channel, I ride a Yamaha FZ07, a 2015. So to keep it simple, guys, they literally are taking that FZ07 engine out of that bike and putting it into a Honda Grom. You can see it looks pretty crazy. I'm going to put all their info, guys, on the description and here on the screen. Make sure to go check their channel out. They're pretty much walking you guys step by step through this whole machine they're building here. And you guys don't want to miss out because this is going to definitely be the fastest Grom out there. Yeah, guys, we're excited to see what goes on with it.
What is up, guys? We are back in the garage, but today we are not working on the FZ07 swap Grom. We've got something a little bit different. We bought another Grom. We ended up buying this local from another guy. He may or may not be another Grom YouTuber, and we have a slight issue. We bought this pretty darn cheap. We knew it had some issues here, and we think we found our issue. So that's one huge crack in this frame. We knew it was gonna be a little bit of an adventure figuring out what was going on with this. We knew it going into it, but we didn't think it was gonna be this severe. This thing is massive. We'll put a ruler up here just for scale. So this crack actually starts kind of at the top, wraps around, and goes underneath here, and that's a span of almost 4 inches all the way around. So that's kind of what we're working with. We don't exactly know what this crazy guy was doing with this motorcycle. There may or may not be a picture of somebody else jumping this bike. We're gonna go ahead and repair this frame as it sits, just because later, once we finish our FZ bike, we are going to be swapping this bike as well. We're still kind of at the stage where we're figuring out exactly what we want to do with this. We've got a couple thoughts. So with our FZ07 swap up here, we still have our complete portion that we cut out of the middle, which is perfect, right where this one has the damage, right in here. All this is perfect as a perfect frame. So one thought we had was we could cut this whole bad part out right here and kind of right back here and splice in that good part exactly where it goes. That way we just have 2 weld joints, and then we put some gusset plates or fish plates over our weld seams to strengthen everything up. So that's one option. And then our other option is to take the other plate off on the other side. And because this crack wraps around from the top all the way here, all the way around kind of on the bottom, we don't want to chase it too much, but we can just get enough access to basically clamp this back together, straighten it all out, and then weld this up fully all the way around, and then put those reinforcement plates over that as well. So we're just kind of toying with which route we want to go. And we will let you guys know what we decide. To just give you guys an idea of what we're working with here, I have this scale on the bottom half of the frame, and it is definitely not touching the front half of the frame. So it's definitely tweaked quite a bit, and with that crack being so open, we can see why, and that's why this bike was handling so wonky. That's kind of what we're working with in terms of our direction this way, and it actually is a little bent in the upwards direction as well. What we're kind of planning on doing right now, we'll clamp this together, close this gap up. That'll help a lot with cinching this back together so we can weld it. We'll put some clamps on it to try to bring this part of the frame back into line with this part. And then as for the top part, we may or may not even do anything about that because structurally it'll definitely be sound. We'll weld everything back together. We'll put some support plates over the side so it's never going to come apart again. It'll actually be stronger than it was from the factory, at least in this region. So I think what we're going to do is just really focus on bringing this back into line with each other, welding it all up, supporting it, and then we'll throw a coat of paint over this once it's all welded and start piecing it back together. All right, guys, so what we have decided to do is just clamp all this together. We're closing this gap up. We have a backer bar clamped to the frame, pulling everything up tight together. And to make sure that everything is square still, we took a straight edge and put it against the bottom of the swing arm, had our digital or our angle finder across our straight edge, and we zeroed that on there. And what we're looking for is the neck to be perpendicular with this surface. So if that's all right, that means our alignment is still correct. So we zeroed it on there, and we put our angle finder up here, and we are within 3/10 of a degree of being absolutely perpendicular with each other. So we are looking pretty good in terms of everything lining up. We have this gap closed up nice and tight with our clamps here, and everything is looking pretty straight. If we look down our frame going down that way, let's see if we can get it focused going down here. So I think we're at the point we're gonna pull the welder over and go ahead and weld this crack up as much as we can. We'll weld as much all the way down to here, and we'll leave that just because it's so much work just to remove this engine mount on the other side, cut that completely out, pull the whole engine. So this solution right now is just going to be, I guess, temporary until we end up doing something else crazy with this frame, which may involve some cutting and splicing and putting another engine in. Who knows? So we're gonna weld all this up as much as we can. Then we're gonna go ahead and put some backer bars over this whole seam and on the top going all the way down some reinforcement plates. So it should be plenty strong, and we shouldn't have any worries of our structural integrity on this backbone anymore. All right, so we have our main crack all welded up. I welded as much as I could with our straight edge on here just so to try to prevent as much movement. So our first pass is done. I kind of took a die grinder and beveled that out so we can get more penetration as much as possible down in there. I was actually really surprised how dirty this frame material welded. Even after grinding all the paint off, it just seemed like a really low quality steel, which again isn't that big of a surprise for how many of these bikes that Honda is pushing out. So I wouldn't expect them to have super high grade of steel, but we're doing what we can. So now I'm just gonna lightly grind that down just so our reinforcement plates over here, just gonna put one plate down this side and one plate down the top, and weld those up, and we should be nice and sturdy then.
See what I mean?
Please tell me you were recording, bro.
I was.
Shit happens, baby. Good thing it's 20 bucks for a tail light. I'll replace that tail light as many times as it takes. Oh no, my tail light, bro! I put in all that hard work. Oh, dude, it's melted. That
So
sucker.
glad you were recording.
I told him when you were live, run off and like record this, bro.
What was that, Mason?
Mason, bro, it still works. Hey, we still got lights.
I didn't rip my pants.
No, a little strand pull out.
Yeah.
Record his butt. Look at it's clean. His butt's clean, everybody.
Did your neighbors see or? Oh, no.
Nah, if they were
It looked like
helping.
there was someone staring out the window.
There might be.
We literally were just talking about that.
I know, we were literally like, hey, you never know what
Oh, I
happens.
thought I just shattered it. I'll buy another one though still.
Dude, it's 20 bucks.
I was
No,
like,
I
I
know,
wish
but-
you'd put a helmet on. You never know. See what I mean?
Please tell me you were recording, bro.
I was.